Hello everyone and welcome to another lockdown interview. Today I'm delighted to be joined by the Yorkshireman and former pro Russ Downing. Russ Downing had a very long and impressive career as a pro, and he did everything from the Giro d'Italia to winning a track World Cup with the GB Team Pursuit squad. In 2005 he became the national champion on the road after beating previous lockdown interview guest Steve Cummings in a two-man sprint. In 2010 Russ Downing signed with Team Sky and grabbed headlines when he became the first Brit to win a stage for them in the Criterium International. And Russ also took the GC overall in the Hard Belgian stage race Tour of Wallonie. Impressively, riding for a continental team in the form of Endura, he actually managed to beat the Norwegian superstar Edvard Boasson in the Tour of Norway in 2012 to take a stage win. So much to discuss in a very exciting career, so without further ado, here is the interview with Russ Downing. Hi Russ, how are you doing this morning?
I'm all good, mate. Yeah, recovering well, but yeah, we'll be good. Raining outside, so yeah, why not have a bit of a talk?
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in sunny Yorkshire, Rotherham, South Yorkshire. So yeah, it's always raining here, but it's good for you.
So how have you coped with the lockdown that was going on?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's been busy, obviously, not a lot of events should have started being kicking off. It's my first year retirement out of actually racing, and I had a lot of events lined up with ambassador roles and things, doing. I think the first one that got cancelled was Strada Bianchi riding for Pinarello, and then yeah, not done anything since that was done really. So strange period, but myself and my brother have got his own coaching company now that's branching out into little different bits. So we've been busy. So Donny Chain Gang has been one of the things I introduced at the start of lockdown, and yeah, people are loving it, and it's growing from week to week. I think we had 147 riders on there last night, which was good. So I think the rain dance that I did in the afternoon worked, and people didn't go out on the bike; they came on Zwift.
So how does Donny Chain Gang compare in real life to Zwift?
It's pretty similar, really. The Donny Chain Gang in real life is very similar. It's pretty flat. We go east. We go east from where we all live now, like round Doncaster way, and go down the River Trent. And we have exactly like the chain gang. We have a rollout. We all meet up. We all circulate. We have a bit of a chat. And then everyone knows where the start of the chain gang is, and that's it. You just start going through, and if you don't want to go through, you sit on, and then if you can't sit on anymore, you get dropped. So it's exactly like the virtual one, really.
But it seems like the Donny Chain Gang has been quite famous for having a lot of pros as well.
Yeah, over the years we've had numerous. Like I say, we've had some great pros come from Doncaster. Obviously, probably. Going back, there was Tom Simpson's probably one of the first well-known ones, and then it's gone on through there. We have some really hard men, sort of John Tanner, Kev Dawson's, Wayne Randall's, and then now we can get anybody out. So Connor Swift's always on there, Ben Swift. Who else we got out this way? Myself, Bro Dino, Joey Walker coming up now, Gabs Cullet. So I think there's numerous guys come on the chain gang, and even if they're around, they try to schedule the training around a chain gang. Like say you sport, you've got a Tuesday morning one that leads at 10 o'clock, then you've got a 6:30 one for the workers on Tuesday and Thursday nights, and then we've got another one on a Saturday that's it's merged into the Donny Chain Gang. It was started by the Rotherham Wheelers. So that goes out very similar way round the east. So yeah, we've got some good rip ups at least 4 or 5 times a week.
There's quite a few cyclists, pro cyclists who've come from Yorkshire, and if you look at the terrain, you understand why. And I guess Tommy Simpson was the first famous Yorkshireman cyclist-wise.
Yeah, he was obviously he wasn't born in Yorkshire, but he was brought up down here. He was originally obviously further up north. But yeah, he sort of set up shop down in Arworth, down on the outskirts of Doncaster. You know, and it's mining village down there, which is where we had about 6 or 7 or local pits all at the side of each other, and we all became good friends and that on and off the bike, you know, over the years, and that's why the community is still like it is. You know, everyone loves riding the bikes, and it's a great sport we've got.
How have you, because you've ridden the Tour of Yorkshire a few times as well, how have you found it racing on home roads?
Yeah, it was great. You know, the first year I did that, I sort of helped with the Tour de France coming over here and riding on Yorkshire roads, helped with the organisation. Then the year after became Tour of Yorkshire. And that was the first year was when I was with Cult Energy, the Danish team. That was a good first Tour of Yorkshire, and I think that the weather wasn't nice, but yeah, we had a good time, and the crowds were just unbelievable. So it just wasn't a stretch of road ever that there was no people on it. So it was from start to finish, it was just full focus, get on with it.
How was it riding for a Danish team? So Cold Energy were a team that stepped up to Pro Continental in 2016, was it?
Yeah, 2015.
2015, yeah.
15, yeah, that was the year I was there. So yeah, it was good. You know, I've always had great relationships with the Danes, who have such a great mentality. You know, always joking and probably a bit like Yorkshiremen, pretty tough and just get on with it. You know, they're not bothered about the weather. So we had a good campaign out in Europe in the classics, and a lot of the semi classics. So we got stuck in. We had a great team there, so it was nice to go around. Obviously, did some good races, and it was good. Yeah, still got some great Danish friends. You know, Martin Mortensen, still really good friends with him. No Mads Pedersen, you know, the champ. Looked after him when he was a young boy, and could see from early days he was going to be good. It wasn't just the talent; it was just the way he conducted himself, the way he listened to sort of myself, Moose, Michael Rice. So yeah, there was some great riders in that team, and Mads has learnt from us all, and yeah, what a champion he's going to be.
It must have been nice for you to see him win in Yorkshire.
It was very good. You know, I'd spoke to him previous in that week, and just the weather just turned that day, and that's brilliant for Mads. He loves a hard hack, and I think we were watching it. I was watching it with his agent in one of the bars at like 60k to go, I think, when he got into that breakaway. And I looked across at Ken, and I was like, Mads is looking good. And I think at 50k to go, I was like, oh, this would be great if Mads could win this. And then the group whittled down, and yeah, he went and won it, and that was amazing. I spoke to him that night, and then he came into the bar where I was doing some work for the Zwift Draft House. He came in, and we had a little chat, and it was a few tears shed, but that was a great result for Mads. You know, in Yorkshire, everyone sort of said, "Oh, yeah, lose this Mads Pedersen." I was like, "You now know who Mads Pedersen is," and we said from early days he was going to be good, and yeah, he's such a strong boy and a super nice guy as well. You know, well grounded, and yeah, respects the sport.
How did that come about, your whole Cult Energy connection?
That was through Martin Mortensen. You know, he's a good friend. We raced a lot together when I was at Sky. He was at Vacansoleil, and we always chatted when we were at the races. You know, so because you Danes, you speak pretty better English than the Englishmen, so we were always having a good chat. And he had a stronger English connection. I think his mum was over here, and his dad, I think, they were working here. We just had a strong connection. So yeah, it came about. I think Cult Energy were looking for a British rider, and it was kind of right place, right time. I'd just looking for a contract for that year, and it was round about Tour of Britain time that the team was starting to take shape. And Martin got in contact. We had a few phone calls with the managers, and that was that. So it came about. it was a bit of a rocky start with management changing and finances a bit up in the air. But the guys at Cult Energy really stuck together. Brian just really put his hand in his pocket and kept everyone racing that year, and it was a good year, definitely.
How did you get into cycling? Because you and your brother both raced, and you also did a bit of track racing in the beginning.
Yeah, I probably raced bikes or rode bikes before I could walk. It was something in the family. My grandparents did it sort of as transport, riding around and going to watch races. Then my dad did it the next level, sort of national medals, and then I turned pro at sort of 19. But before then, I was winning races at 7 years old and 8 years old, and just really loved the community, what cycling was, and just wanted to be part of it. And I've been lucky enough to be pro for 20 years now, and I had a good time in the sport. And if I wouldn't have been pro, I'd have still been riding my bike for the last 30 years. So yeah, it's been good.
You even were part of a World Cup victory at Team Pursuit.
Yeah, we won the gold medal there. That was thrown on me. Myself and Dean were on the endurance squad for the Madison. So I think one of us would ride the sort of the points race and the scratch, and then we'd ride the Madison. But I think we'd been in World Cup the previous week, and then Dave Brailsford said, "Oh, you're going to ride the Team Pursuit at the weekend." I was like, "Really?" So all week we trained for Team Pursuit, and I was quick on the track, but I was riding with the boys who were they were World Cup record holders and everything. So I was pretty nervous jumping into a Team Pursuit and riding with sort of Rob Ailes, Brian Steele, who else was there? Paul Manning. So they were all the big sort of GB Team Pursuiters. And I rocked up, and we won gold. So that was a great week. Pretty nervous, but we nailed it. I think that was just about when teams were starting to go fast. I think we did a 4.7, which now is like snail speed, but it was rapid. That was good times.
Do you think that coming from a track background is it a good thing for road cycling, or do you think being a cyclocross rider is better? Or?
Well, I think at one time of day it was track, and then now it's looking like cyclocross has taken over. With Tom Pidcock, Van der Poel, they're all just like absolutely bossing the cross season, and then they're going into pro teams. So I think it's both. It's very similar, a bit more endurance sort of with the cyclocross, so it can cross over. It can cross over quite a bit. But it's a great way to learn the trade at early days. Either sort of track, fast work, and then if you can build on that endurance, then you're going to make a good pro bike rider.
In 2005, you won your first British road race title, and it was against Steve Cummings. What was that race like?
That was it was a crazy race. It was probably one of the longest national championships for a while. I think it was like 235k. It's quite a hard circuit up in Yorkshire, so it's just a wearing down process all day, and the brakes were going. It was a matter of covering the move, and then see how the legs were in the last hour, and it just totally split to bits. And I remember myself and Steve finally breaking I think it was like a six-man breakaway at that point that was left of the main initial break. Me and Steve were away. I knew it was a hard running, and if I could take Steve to the finish, I was never certain that I'd win the race, but I think I'd be a faster finisher than Steve, but I had to stay with him, and he tried to attack me on the last couple of climbs, and I stayed with him, and it was an uphill finish into the park. We both just stalled and left it as late as possible for the sprint. And I got the jump on him, and he never came round me. I think just as I crossed the finish line, I fully emptied the tank, cramped up and everything. It was like game over, but the race was won, and I was really close good friend with Steve. We did a lot as under 23s and juniors and that. So he was gutted, and we still we still have a good joke about it now. Every time something pops up, it's like, oh, sorry, Steve. But then he went on and yeah, he won it again. He won both in the same year, didn't he? With a time trial and the road race. So yeah, he's let me off with that one now.
What kind of rider were you? Were you like a sprinter that could basically climb, or?
Definitely that. It's like we mentioned about Yorkshire being up and down. It's bred some tough bike riders. I think that's the thing. Wherever you are, where you train, where you ride day in day out, is the type of rider you become. And round here, it's pretty punchy. We're out in the hills, these short, sharp hills, and then, like we just said, then we go the other way. We go east, and we've got the chain gangs that create speed. They create a bit of power, and then let's say starting out on the track, I was always a fast finisher on the track, so I've sort of worked on all those things. I think if the climbs were over sort of 10 minutes, 15 minutes long, I was done. I was out the back. I could climb on my day with some of the great climbers, but only up to sort of 15k, more the punchy stuff. So yeah, that's the type of rider I was, more of a puncher, and I had to be in the right position to win a big bunch sprint. I needed help from the lead out because I wasn't crazy fast, but if I could hit the front at the right point, then lead the sprints out, not early, but right on good timing, then people couldn't close the gap on me, and I'd won some big bunch sprints in my time.
Speaking of big scalp, you did riding for Endura in 2012. You beat Edvald Bosenhagen in the Tour of Norway, which is something not a lot of guys do.
That was a good vibe as well. I'd done 2 years at Sky, and then the Tour of Norway was the first race Endura had done against Sky. So obviously I knew how Sky worked. So I spoke to the boys at Endura and said, look, they're gonna line it out for Eddie. He's a local boy, so let's disrupt the train. I know they like to take control. So I got Zach Dempster to not do anything out of the ordinary, but just to really get under the train, and we sort of bombed under the train on a right hand corner. Then we sort of disrupted that. Zach continued. We came out of the last corner, I think 300 to go, and we got a slight gap, and we'd sort of dispersed all the Sky riders, and they were ones and twos. So Zach led out for a long sprint, and I took it on the line. I think Zach even held on for third place there, so it was a mega finish. Yeah.
What was it like joining Sky, and was there like obviously there was a big buzz around it, but what was it like for you being part of a British World Tour team?
Yeah, it was a good chance. I'd sort of not been World Tours. I went to Sky when I was 30 years old, which was late. I'd always sort of been in and out of smaller continental teams and back in the UK, and then on Team GB. So to go to Team Sky was great. There was talk of it for like 2 years. It was happening, and finally, when I won Tour of Ireland in 2009, the contract came in sort of a few days later, and I signed with Sky, and that was good. We then set off the year after, went out to Australia. We won the Prix Crit, and then we won a stage there. Then we went on to win the team's time trial in Qatar, which was it was a great start. It'd been a long winter of building up and trying to get everything and hit the ground running. We did that, and it felt like a nice achievement to win the first race of the year, which was the Prix Tour Down Under Crit. So it's a good start.
What was it like racing in Qatar?
Qatar's horrible. It's just flat, hot, and obviously we just come out of Australia, so yeah, the temperature didn't bother, but the wind was just brutal. And then you're probably on 4 roads over like 200k. You just go straight on for 50k, right for 60, left for another 30. And I think it was the first day we had a breakaway, and I think Brad and a couple of other guys wanted me to peg the breakaway. So I remember just doing 50k into this headwind with 3 or 4 of sort of other teams, and then I remember Brad was commanding the train. He was like, look, just go to the corner. So I went to the right-hand corner at 50k an hour or whatever, and then we turned right into the crosswind. I was like 5th or 6th wheel, and within 500 metres, I was probably last wheel. I just kept going back through the group, pop, 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 But job was done. We'd pegged the breakaway, and that was it. The race was back on, and the lads could get stuck into it. And I just went straight out and got on a camel or something and went for a holiday.
What was the team time trial like?
That was good. That was the same again. Brad was in control of that, and it started down on the flat, but we went over like a motorway flyover. So it was just a ramp up that, and Brad was commanding, easy go, whatever. So I was the first man, so I got him up to speed, and then there was a right hand corner onto a bypass, and Brad was like 65k an hour, 65k an hour. I want you at 65k an hour. So I did that. Pulls off. I thought, right, that's it, my job done. Probably done about a 2k turn at great speed. Then he shouted me back in. I was like, I thought my job was done. So then it goes back in, do some turns, and then as we're going down the back, probably one of the last straights, 2k to go, he wanted me to up the speed to another 2k up. So he's commanding that, and I did that. And as I came to go on the back, Lars Petter Nordag was the fifth counter for us, and he wasn't quite on the back wheel. So I was like, if he doesn't hold that wheel, I'm going to have to jump round. And I had nothing left in the tank. So we crested the hill, and I saw that Lars had just got on the back of the group. I pulled the pin and lost about 2 minutes in a K, but we got to the finish and we'd taken the victory. So that was a good start to the week in Qatar.
You also took a victory in the Criterium International. Is that one of your biggest victories for you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was a big victory for a couple of reasons. I always wanted to be doing that. I was the first British rider to win an individual stage for Team Sky, so that went down pretty well. I went there as the only sort of fast sprinter with Team Sky. I had Simon Gerrans and Tommy Lockwist really looking after me all day. Sean Yates was the manager, and he believed in me. He said, "Look, Russ, you're one of the fastest guys in this race if you can get everything right and get your sprint out." It was a short stage. I don't think it was 75k or 90k or something like that. Morning stage, TT in the afternoon. But Giro crashed with about 35k to go, and he'd just been looking after me all morning. Wherever I went, he was there. And I can remember looking around and seeing Giro on the tarmac, and I was like, "Shit, what do I do now?" Gero's left me. I've got to do this on my own. But got back going, and then Tommy Lockwist and Lars Petter took me right to the final. I think Lars dropped me off at like 600 meters to go, and then it was just a drag race to the finish line. There was myself, Albacini, I think Federico was in yellow, and just held on to the line and took the victory in Ponte Vecchio there. So that was a great feeling.
What's kind of like the highest you've hit in a sprint, watts wise?
Not very much. I think I'm running at about 62, 63 kilos most of the time when I was in top shape. So I think probably about 1350 watts, which for a small guy like that, it's not bad. But I think the thing is, I can hold over 1,000 for pretty good period. And like I said, I don't need to push much watts because I'm pretty low and pretty aero. It's like Cavendish. He's very aero and efficient, so he's probably a bit faster than me. But yeah, bit of a comparison.
You also took a GC win that year in the Tour of Wallonie.
Yep, that was a great victory again, and that's the type when I'm on good condition. That's when I come into my own. It was a hilly race, in Wallonie. It's always up and down. It's breakaways. It's splitting. It's coming back, and I won. I was always up there knocking away on bonus sprints throughout it was like a 5-day race. I can't remember now. But then the last stage it was like a 35 man front group. So that's when I can normally run a good result in a group like that, because I'm probably one of the fastest guys who's made it over the climbs. So there's myself and Matt Heyman, and Nico Portal was still riding then. He was looking after me in the race, but Matt Heyman finished it off, dropped me at the front. I think 400 to go, and everything was pinned on the left hand side in the crosswind. So I only had to look one side with the challengers, and I hit out, and everyone didn't get around me, and I took the victory, took the bonus, and ended up with a yellow jersey. So that was a good time.
Was the Lincoln Grand Prix something that you won 3 times? Is it?
I've won it 4 times now.
4
Should have
times.
probably won a couple of times more, but yeah, it's a great race. It's only 35 miles down the road, so it's a great historic race. Good friend of ours has helped organise it for years. I grew up riding out to it as a young boy, watching it, watching all the local pros. So to ride it was pretty special, and then to win it so many times has been a great achievement.
You've also gotten involved with, you've won the Mosel Hill, I think. Is that a few times?
Yeah, I think I've won it like 2 or 3 times. So that's a great historic hill climb.
Not far from
Brit.
you, is it?
No, it's quite far actually. It's right in the centre of the Peak District, which is I'm sort of the other side of the hills, but yeah, it's a good local race. It's a good friend of ours, Mark Etchers, who runs a lot of the Sheffield-based races now. So yeah, it's got a great history. I think they say there, Tom Simpson's rode that. He had the record. He's still second or third fastest ever up the hill. Malcolm Elliott's got the record on it now. So yeah, it's got some great history, and it's always a great turnout. They shut the roads now, so the crowd just really get behind it, and it's a good atmosphere. It hurts like hell, it's in October, and it's normally, if you finish your racing season end of September, you have 2 or 3 weeks easy or break, and you normally go there, and it's like, holy shit, why did I sign up for racing this? But it's a great fun, and it's a credit to Mark Etchers where he's brought it from over the last few years. He's been organising it.
How have you found it going from rider to coach?
It's been good. I do more. My brother's all with the planning and the coaching. I'm more like race mentor with all the youngsters and the people. So a lot of the races that the youngsters are riding, I've ridden. I've done good in, I've done bad. So it's just passing the experience down of. Don't make my mistakes, and see if you can do some good.
And final question, you've pretty much done most things in cycling. You've also done the Giro d'Italia in 2011. What was that like riding the Giro?
I was pretty crazy that year at Sky. I signed that second year, and I had options to maybe go elsewhere. And I said, look, I'll stay with Sky, but I want to do a Grand Tour next year, meaning 2011. So I spoke with my manager, Sean Yates. He was like, well, you won't ride the Tour. The Tour's going all in for the victory. You don't slot into that. The Vuelta, anything can happen, so we'll put you in the Giro. But this year the Giro's the hardest it's been for the last how many years. You better get your climbing legs on. I was like, okay, right, thanks. So it was so hard. Every day was just like, but managed to get through it. Got in some breakaways. Got in a breakaway on the last week. I think I got 8th on the stage. Just a really lumpy, hard day. And finished. Went over a ravine in the last week. Broke my ribs. Did damage to my sternum and everything. So I was in a mess. But I got to like stage 18 in good shape. 19, I wasn't in good shape, but I managed to finish the Giro. And like I said to Yates, I said, you're going to have to drag me off my bike if I'm not going to finish my Grand Tour. So that was that. It was a good achievement. And it was just a bit of a blur, really. It was just so hard. If someone said, oh, where were you on stage 10 of the Giro? I said, I don't know. I just put in a big hole somewhere riding around Italy. But no, it was a great spectacular. And I always wanted to ride the Giro. Wanted to ride Grand Tours. Yeah, the Tour's the Tour. But the Giro's just brilliant. It's a race in a race every day. It's just, it's good.
I guess also having links with Pinarello, you kind of have more of a affinity for the Giro.
Yeah, I've been with Pinarello for a few years now. I was on Pinarello in 2008, 2009 through my sponsor Phil Griffiths at Yellow Limited there. So we did some good trips out in Italy. So I actually raced in Italy in 2000. 2000. I was in an Italian team, so yeah, I love racing in Italy. So to go back and ride the Giro was good.
What's your favorite race that you've raced?
Probably Flanders. Flanders, yeah. The Giro was special. So yeah, it's got to be one of those two.
Did
Giro
you
or
ride
Flanders.
Strada Bianchi?
No, I'm not riding Strada Bianchi. We rode some of the route of Strada Bianchi in the 2011 Giro. So, and luckily it was dry that day. But yeah, some of the pictures when Strada Bianchi's wet and grim, it's like, oh, that's horrible. But no, so never actually rode the race, but done routes of it in the Giro.
A final question: who was your hero when you were growing up?
Probably there's a couple there. Probably one of the guys who got me into the sport, or not got me into the sport, convinced me that I was good enough to be professional, is a guy called Chris Walker. He was a local pro here who was bossing all the crits, you know. He lived in the next village, and he was just a boy. And I got to know him when I was 17, and he took me under his wing and really looked after me, a bit like what I'm doing now with some of the youngsters in the sport. And he convinced me I was good enough to be a pro bike rider. So he'd be well up there on the list. And another guy I sort of looked up to in that sort of time frame was Sean Kelly. I just thought, you know, he was my style of rider. On his day, he could climb, probably like he could climb better than me. You know, he won Milan San Remo, which is you've got to be able to climb. But yeah, so those two, Sean Kelly and Chris Walker, who's now one of my best friends, and he made me believe in myself.
Thanks very much for this interview, Russ. It's been really enjoyable. That's it for this lockdown interview with Russ Downing. Make sure to check out his Donny Chain Gang Facebook group in the description below. And if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe to not miss out on any of the up and coming videos? And why not check out the interview I did with one of Russ's former teammates in the form of Steve Cummings, or another Yorkshireman, Harry Tanfield. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.